Hi, welcome to For Fuck's Sake Parenting. How are you,
Hey,
Jenae?
good. How are you?
I'm good.
We are back at it.
Yes, back at it, week 2 in a row.
I
How
know.
exciting.
I know. My screen just we might have to start again, Hunter. Sorry.
That's okay.
I hit a button and then now I can't see you or me. What am I doing wrong? I tried
I'm
to
leaving
hit
it in. I'm not starting over.
what am
This
I
is
doing?
this is the behind the scenes extended cut.
Okay. How do I get back to you? That's a great idea. My screen just says Zoom. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm zooming, but I can't see anything.
Do you have to click OK on like a little?
That's what I did, and then it just stopped. And now it just I'm trying to join a meeting, but I'm in a meeting that I mean, I want to be in the meeting. I don't want to not be in the meeting. Ah,
We'll be back after a short break. We're back.
Zach. Love technology. It's my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's blessing and a curse, you know.
No, but we're here 2 weeks in a row. What are we talking about today?
So today is a little bit of like a heavier topic, but I think we can like, we can work it out. It's bullying and peer pressure.
Okay.
So I mean, to start, I think we should start with some statistics, right?
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully this doesn't mess up the recording. I just moved you to the side.
I know that my kid is in middle school now, so I know there is a lot of bullying. I don't know at what age bullying peaks, but I have to think it's middle school-ish
That,
age, right?
I mean, I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
All right. But it says 1 out of every 5 students reports being bullied. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, I'm getting these statistics from the National Bullying Prevention Center.
Okay.
So it says bullied students reported that bullying occurs in the following places: the hallway or stairwell at school, inside the classroom, in the cafeteria, outside on school grounds, online or by text, in the bathroom or locker room, and on the school bus. And the highest place, the highest
Mm,
percentage place would be the hallway or stairwell at school.
okay.
Um, let's see, only 46% of bullied students report notifying an adult about or an adult at school about the incident.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if we can see. Let's see. Um, I don't see anywhere about when it peaks.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold
I
on. Here it
I
is.
oh, okay.
Sort of. Let's see. 1 in 5 tweens, 9 to 12 years old, has been
Mm-hmm.
cyberbullied.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 49.8% of tweens said that they experienced bullying at school, and 13% of tweens reported experiencing bullying at school and online.
Yeah. I can see that. My son is a tween and he will tell me that he is a tween. It's actually his birthday today. He is turning 12.
Oh,
And yeah, he's my baby. I was like 12 years ago, Dad, that I was in labor. I like to tell him about all the hours that I was in labor, thinking that he'll appreciate me, but he doesn't. He doesn't care. But I can definitely see with him the ages of like starting around 10, but definitely 11, 12. It's probably going to continue longer. And I feel like kids now get bullied in additional ways than when we were kids, because now they can, so many of them have devices and they can, I mean, he'll get in a fight with his friends playing like Fortnite and he'll come in crying, my friend defriended me on Fortnite because of whatever. So now not only do you have to worry like they're going to get bullied at school, in the hallways, on the bus, but now it's also the games they play online. My son's had the most problems with the other kids in our little cul-de-sac that are around the same age in the neighborhood. So it just seems like there's more potential for them to get bullied, and bullied in ways that maybe we can't monitor because if they're on their device or whatever. Whereas when I was a kid, we didn't really have that. So they were you could get bullied for less hours out of the
right.
day sense. You know what I
Well,
mean? They
so
would come home and it would stop. Whereas
right.
now they come home and it potentially does not stop.
Yeah. So growing up, I grew up in the era where I think I started like the phones and everything started coming out and being popular and like the internet around like middle school years.
Okay.
So like I can't think that I was ever really bullied, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know that there were like, other kids being bullied over the internet when I was growing up. And they had different platforms, but I don't think that it was as serious and as like aggressive as it is today. Like
Yeah.
we had like anonymous like ask
Oh, yeah.
platforms. I think it was called like Ask FM or something. And
Mhm.
those sorts of things where you could anonymously tell people stuff and ask them questions, but that's where a lot of people would kind of hide behind the screen. But
Yeah.
also, not everybody had a phone, not everybody had access to the internet. It's just home desktop computers that you could use.
Right. Right.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot different today.
It is, and they get the pressure because he's 12, but he doesn't have a phone. But he has a computer in his room that I try to monitor. But I just feel like there's so many more ways to connect. The kids are on TikTok; they're talking to people in real time. It's so much more complicated, and I think the rate of bullying has increased because of all these new platforms, and the rate of teen and kid depression and anxiety has gone up. And I don't think that's a coincidence. There's a correlation between the two. So it's hard. It's just
Absolutely.
hard.
Well,
Yeah.
so I mean, not only with social media and those sorts of things kind of contributing to the issue, I find that like Michael, my son, had an issue with one boy in particular at preschool.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 incidents that I witnessed
Mm-hmm.
as someone who is just dropping him off, you know,
Right.
where he was punched in the face one day
Mm-hmm.
by a child that was younger than 2. A
Yeah.
1-year-old baby was
Yeah.
punching someone else in the face.
Yeah.
And he got shoved, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I understand, like it's a push, but like, what happens if he actually fell backwards?
Yeah.
My kid's sturdy, like he can hold his ground. Like I have big dogs, they push him around a little bit. And like
Yeah.
if another child is pushing him to the point where he stumbles, like what else can he do? And there was
Yeah.
another incident where like he hit him in the face, and like that's wild. And
Yeah.
I can't say that it's like he's seeing stuff at home, but like that's a
Yeah.
potential, thing. Is there something going on at home with this other little boy?
Yeah.
Or if there isn't, then there's a chance that like he's watching stuff that he shouldn't be,
Mhm.
because that's not a natural behavior. Like that's, pushing and shoving and punching, whereas like biting or
Yeah.
that sort of thing would be. And then as
Yeah.
they get older, like what happens if that's not corrected?
Right.
You
Yeah. And I think too, some kids are better with impulse control than others. Some kids, are just handsier than others. I find too, like, if they have older siblings, right, that are rougher and they have to, I don't want to say defend themselves, but kind of in that way that they're just used to more like physical back and forth. When Gavin was little, because he was an only child,
Mhm.
he wasn't like that, but that's because he really wasn't around that,
Right.
but I feel like the girls, because they had an older brother, are maybe a little bit more used to that.
Yeah, I guess that
Yeah.
that makes sense too.
Yeah, but it's totally true. It's hard, when they're basically little, to know, like, is this a problem or is this just a regulation thing? But also you don't want your kid getting hurt at school. So it's definitely, I think with the little kids, it's more that handsy type stuff. And as they get older, it's definitely more verbal and more manipulative, and them purposely excluding people, which is what I found to be the hardest part of bullying, is when a group of kids is purposely excluding your kid and making them feel bad, and constantly just not including them on purpose. And I think that's been the hardest thing that we have dealt with when it comes to bullying thus far.
How did you navigate that between
Not well.
but between like the internet stuff and then, you know, you said something about the boys in the cul-de-sac, was that in person? Or
yeah, that was like in-person stuff. When we moved here, there was kind of like this clique of boys that already existed on our cul-de-sac street, where they had been friends for a while. They were used to playing with each other. And I think especially with boys, there's almost like this hierarchy
right
in the group. Like, one is in charge and bosses the other one around. The other ones will follow. You know what I mean? There's just like this dynamic already in place. And when Gavin moved and he started trying to get in with this group of boys, some of them were like, cool, come play with us. And then some of the other ones who were the heads of the group were like, hey, wait a second, I don't want you to be friends with this one because I'm in charge of this one. Right. And so then the dynamics change, and some of them were okay with that and some of them were not okay with that. And so then it kind of got to the point where it was like he was a year older, which to me didn't seem like, okay, you're a year older, like it's not like a huge difference, right? Maturity level, a year older. But I think some of them were maybe a little bit threatened by the fact, oh, well, you're older than us, so, you know, but we want to be in charge. And my son's a little bit like, he's not passive. He's not going to just do what you tell him to do and roll over. Like, I don't want to say he's used to being the boss, but he likes to be the boss. If you will let him be the boss, he will happily be the boss. So there was kind of some power struggles within the group. So it got to the point where I was like, if you want to play with them, you're kind of going to have to do what they want to do, because otherwise they just say, go home, I don't want to play with you. Yeah. So he tried to do that for a while, which I know was difficult for him, but it was kind of like when they would start to play games, if he would start to do well in the game, then all of a sudden, we're not playing that game anymore. Gavin, go home. They would shut the garage. They would go into one of the kids' garages and shut the door in his face and be like, you go home and shut the garage door. And he'd come home crying because he wants to play and he wants to have fun and he wants to be a part of this, and they didn't want to. And so that happened a lot, like a lot, like numerous times a week. He would be coming home crying about so-and-so did this. They say that I'm stupid and ugly and fat and they don't want to play with me. And, you know, for a while, I kind of tried to stay out of it because it's like, all right, this is kid stuff, right? I guess this is what kids do. So you're towing that line between maybe I should get involved and maybe I shouldn't. Mm-hmm. So we kind of tried to not get involved in it for like a really long time, until it got to a point where I just I couldn't take it anymore. Right. So long story short, although it hasn't been that short, when I confronted the parent, the father of this child that I foresaw as the ringleader, right, of this,
the instigator,
and the dad, right, the instigator, and the dad was very combative with me, as in like, you know, everything is Gavin's fault. His kids don't do anything wrong. And my request was like, let's get all the boys together and let's hear what's happening, because I know I'm only hearing Gavin's side of the story. Right. I'm sure there's another side of the story, right? And I said, Gavin should apologize and take ownership in his part of it, but I think we need to hear everybody. Oh no, you know, I won't let my kids, you know, it was basically like, I won't let my kids do that. They're not doing anything wrong. It's Gavin's problem. And, you know, basically aggressively told me to like take a hike. It's basically what it was. And I was like, oh my God. So I found it really hard to navigate. If you're trying to talk to a parent who is not going to take any accountability or make their kid take any accountability, it's kind of hard to have any type of resolution with that. Yeah. So it did not go well. And that happened, I want to say like right as summer was ending. And so I haven't let Gavin play with those boys since, because he was so aggressive and nasty. And it stinks because he looks outside his front door and he sees these kids playing together
Right.
that he can't play with. So I think it was his first lesson in, not everybody is gonna like you, right? Yeah. Not everybody is gonna be nice to you and include you. So I think that was his first real taste of being bullied.
Oh, that's awful.
And
That's an awful story.
and the worst part of it is they live in our neighborhood. They live, like, we have to see these people. And so, and the crazy part is, because this altercation happened, then I had another talk with one of the other parents whose kid was mad, whose kid was standing there when I was talking to this other dad. And this parent was mad because I asked his kid what happened and made his kid uncomfortable. And he was upset because I talked to his child without an adult advocate there.
So we have one parent that doesn't think that any child should take any responsibility for anyone's actions, and then another one who,
like, how dare you ask my kid, hey, what happened? Like, yeah, what happened? Like, because I want to know what happened, because if my kid, the part that my kid has played in this, and I'm sure he has played a part in this, I want to know so Gavin can take accountability and learn from his actions. But I seem to be the only parent that was willing to hold their kid accountable for anything. Yeah. So now I've had altercations with two separate sets of parents on the cul-de-sac. Now everybody's mad at each other. And it's to the point, Hunter, that when I walk the kids to the bus stop, if I walk past one of these parents, we literally do not speak to each other anymore. Like, we do not even say hello. It's so uncomfortable. Like, we don't even like wave and say, hey, what's up? And make any type of small talk. It's just like, so now the kids are mad and now the parents are mad. So I don't know how to resolve this, but it's really uncomfortable that now the kid drama has now turned into adult drama.
Yeah, I'm so confused, I guess maybe because, like, are they just so out of touch with reality of, like, like, of trying to pass on any emotional regulation or social, I don't know, like, social dynamics to their child, you know what I mean? Like, why? Yeah. When I said to my husband, I said, I understand now, after talking to this boy's father, I understand why his kid is acting the way he's acting, because his dad came out like guns a-blazing, trying to intimidate me and yelling in my face. So if an adult is doing that, of course the kid is going to do that. What else? What is the kid learning at home? Like, this is how you deal with people. If you don't like this person, you just intimidate them. And then they go away. And ultimately it has worked because he has intimidated me and Gavin. So now Gavin's essentially gone away because I just don't want to, I don't want to be a part of that cycle. Right. So it's just been really, and so like, this has been our first real big problem when it comes to little things have come up in the past, with somebody in their class, and I would have to email the teacher and just be like, hey, heads up, this is happening. So like little things here and there, but this has been the first one that, and it's hard as a parent because you want to fix this and you can't always fix it, even if you have the best intentions of fixing it. And I think I'm at the point now in parenting where I can't fix all of their problems. And that stinks because you're used to fixing it. Right. So I can't even. Yeah. So I feel like I'm so out of touch with the reality that, like, there's some parents that aren't consciously trying to make good little humans. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even imagine that, to and I think get mad and feel like your kid can do no wrong. And but it does, like you said, it makes sense with the parent coming out screaming, it makes sense as to why there is an issue with the child. Right. And I think sometimes with parents making their kid apologize for something
is admitting that their child did something wrong. And maybe as a parent, they take that on, like, I'm a bad parent if my kid did something wrong, and they don't want to feel those uncomfortable feelings. It's just like this cycle of, if my kid apologizes, then he did something wrong, and then I did something wrong by parenting them. So I don't know. I think with this particular family, I think there's a lot more going on internally that I don't know about, that has caused this, because it seemed like it was such a huge blow up for something that I felt like could have been talked about and worked out. So yeah, so I think that's the biggest obstacle in dealing with a bully, is how good of a relationship or communication can you have with that person's parent?
Right.
And what are they willing to do at home on their end to help the situation? So sometimes it's out of your control. And when it's out of your control, that's when it really feels like, I had so much anxiety about this. I mean, it really, every time he was out there with those kids, I had this pit in my stomach, and I was like helicopter mom out there trying to, like, I didn't want to blow up, because I didn't want my kid to come in crying and upset.
Yeah.
So it's just, it sucked.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah.
That's awful.
And I said to my husband, I'm like, how long are we going to live on the street with these people and not talk to each other? Because it's just socially, it's like, it's a weird feeling to walk by somebody and just say nothing.
Right. When in the past you were walking by and at least saying hello, at the very least, like a wave.
Yeah,
So,
it's really weird. It's like really hard for me, because I'm a pretty social person, to just be silent. It's like uncomfortable silence.
I feel like you should just bite it and start saying hello.
Yeah.
Like, kill them with kindness. Because isn't that like, would you want your kids to do that? Or would you want your kids to, like, just completely shut down and pretend like they're not there and be intimidated, like you said? Like, why not just be the social butterfly that you are and, like, wave and just say good morning and make them even more uncomfortable? Because they're not going to say anything. And if you say hello, I feel like they would just simply just melt where they were and just be like, wow, I can't believe she had the balls to say it. You know, like,
I know, like, moving forward, being a good person, that's probably what I should do. I guess I'm just still, like, really mad about it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's my kid that deserves the apology, right? And the fact that there's been no accountability, it makes it hard for me to be like, when that mama bear comes out in you and you're just like, I'm so mad about this. It's hard for me to want to be like, hey, what's up? But ultimately, that's probably what's going to have to happen, because I know that we're not going to get an apology. So if somebody's going to be the bigger person, it's going to have to be me. Exactly. I just don't want to. Sometimes you don't want to be the bigger person, Hunter. You want to be petty. I want to be petty sometimes.
You just hang on to it for like a week or two, and then, like, you just, one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, all right, today's the day I'm gonna have to be the bigger person.
I've been mad and petty for at least a month about this. I'm going on a month. We did back to school night in the same classroom.
Oh no.
Like 10 in other and pretend like we didn't exist. It was pretty fun. So yeah,
I can't. I mean, I'm sure I could, because I'm not in that situation. Like, with my situation, at first I didn't say anything. Let's see. The first 2 times I didn't say anything. No. The first time I didn't say anything. The second time I was talking to the teacher about it, and I was like, I'm sorry. The second time was when he got punched in the face, and the teacher said to me, oh my gosh, that's the 3rd person he's hit today. And before 9 a.m.
So obviously it's a pattern. You're like, well, did it make you feel better? At least it wasn't just your kid. At least he was targeting.
It did. Well, so here's what.
You're like, is it just my kid that he's beating up on? He's spreading around the joy.
That was my concern. I was like, is my kid just, like, easy to bully? Like, because
is he targeting my kid?
Yeah, like, because my kid, he's sensitive. He's a sweet, nice little boy. Like, he is. And So I was talking to the teacher and she was like, that's the third person who's hit today. So in Florida state, you're
Mhm.
allowed to quote unquote spank your child with an object.
Okay.
So I was told that this little boy's mother spanked his sister with a belt the night prior.
Okay.
And then the next day he came to school punching people in the face.
Right.
So it's not like, he's not coming from like a gentle, like loving home. He's coming
Right.
from like a place where like, you get spanked with a belt.
Right.
I've been spanked with a belt and like
Right.
I don't
You
think I
know,
could ever like,
yeah.
do that to my child because I know what it feels like. It's not
Right.
it,
Yeah.
it doesn't help anything. It didn't help anything
Right.
in my case. Everybody's
Right.
different. Maybe it works for her 5-year-old, but I don't think I'm gonna
Well,
try
and
it with mine.
it might work as in like they'll stop talking to you and leave you
Right.
alone because they're scared. But my husband's a therapist, so he talks to people on the other end of it that have
Yeah.
been spanked and all of these things. And it usually doesn't end well when you're talking about it to your therapist as an adult. It's
Right.
probably not a great idea to
Yeah.
do, but that is my own opinion. And other people can
Right.
parent their child. But it sucks when other people parent their child in a way and then now they go and it affects your child, which is not
Right.
cool.
Well,
Yeah.
so after I spoke to the teacher was like, we worked with this child with the biting. We were able to work it out of him, like, but
Yeah.
this is the next thing, and I think we'll be able to work it out of him, but we don't have any cooperation from the parents,
See again, no cooperation from the parent. What,
exactly.
what a terrible place for the school to be in.
I
No
know.
cooperation from the parent. I mean,
Yeah.
that has so hard. They're only at school for so many hours a day and they're at home for more.
Yeah.
So that's why it would be terribly hard to be a teacher
Right,
when you're
exactly.
not having cooperation from parents.
Yeah. So this teacher actually ended up putting in her 2 weeks shortly
Uh,
after this happened. So what I did was she was like, you need to go to the director because I
mhm.
I I am not allowed to do anything. Like I have no power over the situation. Like I can redirect, I can, you know,
Right.
tell them we don't hit our friends. That
But there's
it's a
only so
small
much
thing.
they can do. Yeah.
Exactly. So she was like, I need you to go to the director. And so I
Yeah.
went to the director and I said, like, listen, and mind you, this like little daycare that we're at is so like small town.
Yeah.
So like just a grandmother is running this place,
Right.
in the back of
Right.
a church. Like I love it there. Like it's just so
Right.
sweet and like homey. Like I really like it. So I go to this
Yeah.
director and I had to like I'm gonna pull him out if this isn't fixed. Like
Right.
this is my official, like, if
Yeah.
if this happens again, I'm pulling my child, or like if this happens again with no resolution, I'm pulling him.
Right. Right.
And she told me, she was like, you're not, like she teared up because she loves my kid. Like she
Yeah.
started tearing up. She was like, I totally understand. Like,
Yeah.
we're doing everything that we can. Like,
Yeah.
eventually, I guess another parent had also threatened to pull her son out if,
Yeah.
something happened to her son again too from the same boy.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the other kid as a human,
Right. Because
but
he's a kid, yeah. But
yeah, like I feel
yeah.
bad for him because he can't, he's not taught any differently at
Yeah.
home. So
Right.
I'm like, I feel torn, but then at the same time, I was like, no, this is my kid. Like that kid can go somewhere. Like,
Right. You're like, my job and my alliance is with my kid, and that's where
right.
it needs to be. Like, you feel
Yeah.
bad for the other kid, but at the end of the day, it's your kid that you're in charge of
Right,
protecting.
exactly. So the ending of this was they moved the kid up to the next like grade, like the next age group up because
Mhm.
it's daycare. So they were
Yeah.
kind of just like, he can step up to the older kids and see
Maybe the
what
older, maybe the older kids will keep him in line.
exactly. That was their game plan because there was no other like what else are they gonna do?
All the kids his own age are afraid of him. Let's move him up and see if the older kids will take care of him for us.
Yeah. So,
It's humbling.
right. I mean, he was
Hey,
only
well,
like a few months away from moving up anyway, so they just did
right,
it
right.
early.
Yeah,
But honestly, they were like, I hope when we move him up, like this makes the mom mad enough to pull him because they didn't want to. They're like, they're out of options besides expelling him, and they don't really want to do that because they know that that's not that's not right. So they moved him up, and he's actually thriving in the next class up. You know, he's doing really well with the older kids. So like,
Yeah.
you know, win-win. And now my kid's not being
Hey,
punished.
everybody's winning. That's awesome. That was a good resolution.
That was a
I
great
think a great resolution was my neighbors
Mhm.
should move. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm like, the housing market's really good right now. You
Right?
guys, I know what they paid for their house. Could they just sell it and move?
Yeah, that would be
I'll be
ideal.
like, I'll help you pack. Bye.
I'll even pay for the movers. Please leave.
I know. Oh my God, it's so wrong. But I'm gonna stop being petty, Hunter. I'll let you know when I get to the point. We'll revisit this,
Mhm.
like I'd like to say in a few weeks when I become the bigger person, but it might take longer than that.
And that's fine. That's fine. As long as eventually you do it, you know, to like at least model to your kids, like, hey, we can be petty for a little bit, but not forever. We're
Well,
not.
and my son asked me because when he like walks past these kids, they totally ignore him. Like they act like he's not there. And for a while, we were like saying hello, and they would literally they would turn their back on us. So it got to the point where I told him, I'm like, you don't have to say hello, but if they at some point say hello to you, then yes, you need to say hello to them. But
Yeah.
it's like, do I keep making him try to be cordial to people that are just going to totally ignore him? You know what I mean? There's a point where it's like I'm trying to teach him like what a healthy friendship looks like and what an unhealthy friendship looks like. And if you're in a situation where it's an unhealthy friendship,
Mhm.
they need to know that it's okay to not be around that person or to not engage in that person. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's and I know the next thing is like the online stuff. At some point, I'm gonna have to give him a cell phone. He's probably not going to be able to just have his little watch, you know, where I can call him on forever. But I'm not looking forward to it. Like, I'm not going to let him have Facebook or I don't. Kids aren't on Facebook. What are they on? TikTok. What are the cool kids on?
Well,
Hunter.
so
What are they on? I don't
we
know.
actually, so all right, they're on Snapchat, which is surprising because Snapchat came out like when I was in
Yeah,
early
I've
high
been
school.
part of Snapchat and I'm old. Okay.
Yeah, so Snapchat I think is still popular amongst the children, which is wild to me.
What about
Um,
Instagram? They're on Instagram, right? Or is
Instagram,
that
but
old?
not so much. It's more TikTok is like the really cool thing. So
And
TikTok,
TikTok
Snap.
scares me the most out of all of them.
Okay, so there's a few
I've
topics.
watched people's lives, right? Where they're on live and they can like in real time talk to the people that it's scary. I don't know. That
Yeah.
scares me.
Well, okay, so let's see. My niece has a TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she recently blocked me on it because she's like, I think she's
She
10. She
she
did block
blocked
well,
you.
she blocked me because she gave someone her Snapchat and her Roblox username in the comment section, and the like it sounded, how do I word this? The words that this user used sounded like a predator. Like they sounded like an adult asking to, you know, get some they specifically said they are looking for friends between the ages of 9 to 12.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And then there were a few other, you know, there were a few
Because
other
you
things,
know a 9-year-old wouldn't say that. Like I'm looking
or
for
even a
friends.
12-year-old,
Right.
you
Like
know, like
that's like an adult that's like
yes,
laying out the requirements, right? To be my friend in quotation
exactly.
marks.
Exactly. So I
I
am
know.
like, and there was like, they used some sort of wording that was like, I had to Google the words because they were big words.
Oh, you're like,
Like,
that ain't it. That's not it.
I
No.
like, I
Yeah.
Googled the words and I was like, I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like, okay. And it's not because I'm growing old. It's because
Right.
they were big words and that's a grown man or a grown woman
Right.
weirdo. Or,
Right.
you know, or the other option was because so what I did was I immediately took screenshots of everything and I texted, or I like immediately like called my sister-in-law, I called my brother,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know, call me, like both, you
Yeah.
know, call me
Yeah.
ASAP. And I got my brother on the phone and I was like, hey, this is the username, this is what they said. Like, I just, the other possibility was that it was a friend that was like trying to get engagement on her videos, because the kids will make multiple accounts to like comment and like their friends' videos.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, yeah. So I, my brother was like, oh, that username sounds kind of familiar. Like maybe it's her friend. Like, I don't know. I'll talk to her. I was like, yeah, just, here, I'll send you the screenshots. Like, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware. Like,
Yeah.
so I sent that to, her parents. And then the other day it told me that, so and so viewed your profile. And then I went to go look at her profile and it was gone. So I think she blocked me because I tattled on her, because that's scary. Like, you don't,
She's like, Aunt Hunter is ratting me out.
Yeah. But
you did the right thing. I mean, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I felt like a noob though, and it was so bizarre. I was like, this is so wrong. Like, why do I feel like, snitches get stitches? Because like,
she's gonna send your computer a virus.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, no, I'm trying to do like no social media for my kid for as long as I can possibly avoid doing that, because I just don't think it's great for anybody at that age.
Well,
like nothing good comes out of it.
There's a guy that I follow on actually Instagram, TikTok, and he did a podcast with a guy named Sean Ryan about like internet stuff.
Yeah.
So he's what's considered like an ethical hacker. So he's very interesting. He's actually from where I grew up, or not where I grew up, but like around that area. And he moved down to Florida. And, the podcast was very disturbing that he did with Sean Ryan, but it was very enlightening of like what actually goes on, like on these different platforms, like even something that can be seen as like as innocent as Instagram or whatever. Or TikTok. And I mean, maybe don't listen to the podcast, but you should look up his page. The podcast was brutal. Like it was, I want to throw everything away. Like
you're like, I want to wipe my face off of the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So his name is, let me find it.
I gotta write it down. What is his name?
Let me double check. It's
okay.
Montgomery, I believe. So his Instagram name is 0 Day, and his name is Ryan Montgomery. And I'll link it in the description below.
Okay.
So let me tell you, let's see. He's a #1 ethical hacker who hunts child predators. And essentially what he does is like stuff that isn't necessarily like, I don't think it's like legal, like hacking. So that's why he's called like the ethical hacker.
Right. He's like the Robin Hood of the internet.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, part of what he does, I believe that there's some sort of, what is it? I haven't really looked into it because I don't plan on getting my child a phone for a very long time, at least 13 more years.
Luckily, you have a lot of time.
Yes.
I have less time. The time is ticking away.
That's why I'm trying to recall the information. And, mom brain is not good here. So basically they either have a phone or a program that you can put onto a phone that is for children. And there's another, like a retired detective or retired officer that has a TikTok account that talks a lot about internet, internet safety and social media safety stuff with children, which I feel like we could make a whole nother
episode. I feel like that's a whole nother topic. Maybe we could find somebody that has some expertise in these, because I hear people talk about, oh, well, you can put on the blocker for this, but I don't know how to do it, because it's getting to the point where I feel like my kids are better online than I am. So I'm trying to block them from seeing stuff, but they're better added than I am. My girls have already figured out how to take off the parental controls on YouTube and how to switch it from kids YouTube to like real people YouTube.
Yeah.
And they're 7. So I feel like I need to up my game on this type of stuff.
Right. And I totally agree. Cause even me, like with my work and my job, like there's technologies that are coming out or things that I can't figure out how to do. And I'm like Googling, I'm like Googling, right? Like, how do I make this work? And at some points I'm like, I don't want to learn.
I have a business idea that you're gonna hear first. You know how, like, we sell child safety store, we sell these things to keep your child from dying, locks and gates and stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody should start a company where they like child-proof your devices. They'll come to your house and like set up all, and you could have options of all the different guards. And people could make money just, I would pay somebody to do that. Show up to my house, give me the options, and set up all of the tablets, all of the computer, and like sync it to my phone so I can monitor this or whatever.
Yes.
Is that a thing? Maybe somebody can tell us, like, if this is a thing, please tell us about this.
Yes, please, someone.
It has to be, right? Somebody had to have thought of this.
Oh, definitely. I know that there's definitely programs that you can set up. Let me check out my friend Google.
But I don't want to have to do it.
Right. So essentially there was the guy that was like the detective or I think he was a detective. I believe that it's either a program that you add to an existing phone, or it is a phone itself that is for kids. So you can only do certain things on it. Let me see.
I know the watch that I got my son, I have to program in the phone numbers that he's allowed to call. He can't just program. It's 911, the approved phone, and like he can send texts and stuff to the approved people that he's allowed to text, but it's not, he can't get on the internet with it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So, okay, I found it. So let's see. I could be wrong. I think this is the one that this man suggests. It's called the Bark phone.
Bark phone, okay.
It says it's the best phone for kids and teens with no internet options. But it looks like, it's touchscreen, it has a camera, like it looks fun.
So their friends won't make fun of them.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It looks like you can do their location.
Yeah. That's what I love about his watch thing, is like I can see in real time like where he is in the world, which
yes,
I love.
I love that for you. That's great. I think it's almost like, is Bark also an app?
By the time your kid's a teenager, we're going to be able to like microchip them, like how they do for dogs. Your kid's going to have a microchip in the back of his neck, right?
There was actually a Black Mirror episode about that.
Oh, okay.
About a little girl, and I watched it so long ago, but I just remember the microchip in the back of her neck, and they were able to like do all sorts of things with this. That's
control them.
That's scary.
You can be good at that, but I see they have a thing when your kid starts to drive, you can put a thing on the car and it'll tell you like how fast they went, like if they were speeding or not.
Life 360 is an app that I have, and I have it with like a few friends and like my family, and that will tell you their top speed during their travels. So
that's a great idea. I'll be like, you can't go over 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We live in like a really small town. So there's like, unless you're on the highway, you're going 35 miles an hour, which I sort of love because I'm a terrible driver, as I've mentioned in the past, but I'm hoping that when he starts driving, I'll be like, you're only allowed to go on these roads.
These roads.
And if you're going over 35 miles an hour, I know that you're on a different road.
Right. Well, also, I feel like your son, from what I know of him, seems responsible enough and like respectful enough to like actually listen to what you're saying. Like, I feel like you guys are doing well.
I hope so, but these hormones are kicking in, Hunter. They're kicking in fast. I'm going on like the the roller coaster of emotions. You know what I mean? He's happy, he's sad. Oh, my doorbell's ringing. He's happy, he's sad, he's crying, he's not. It's there's the switch at around 12, 11, 12. The hormones really, and that could be a whole nother episode, is dealing with hormonal teenagers, which I might have more experience with pretty soon.
Yeah, that's I just know from my experience as a teenager, it wasn't good. You know, the hormones, they made you just awful.
Yeah.
Just like looking back, the amount of
Yeah.
times, like
Those are hard years.
the worst, the absolute worst.
And the bullying peaks at your most hormonal worst years. And
Yes.
you're
And
like the
that's our new
worst
stat.
version.
I don't know. We're just going to say that that is real. I don't know if it's real, but I'm going to say that it is. Like tweens is the worst. It's bullying, it's hormones, it's trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I just want to survive it. And I'm kind of getting a preview now with my son, but you know, I have twin girls that are going to be coming up here, going through the hormonal, well, I'm probably going to be going through menopause. And my husband says he's going to get an extra apartment to sleep at because he's afraid. he's starting to get afraid.
He should. Actually, he should be afraid.
He's gonna play a lot of golf, Hunter. He's gonna be golfing all of he already wants to golf all the time, but he's gonna be sleeping at the golf course. I'm afraid to go home.
My wife's in menopause. My girls are in puberty.
I know, right?
The war zone.
We're talking about bullying. We're going to be bullying him, right? We're going to be the bullies in our house. That the script will be flipped, and we will be the bullies.
Well, the good news is he's a therapist, so he should know how to handle it.
He should know how to handle it, but I think that when you're living with it, I mean, it's easy to give advice about how to deal with it, but when you're actually living it at home, I think it's going to be a different thing.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to make him come onto our podcast one time, and we can do some Ask the Therapist.
That'll be great.
I love it.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions for the therapist,
put
them in the comments and we'll ask them.
And he's a marriage therapist, so you can ask all of your burning couple questions, and we can make him answer it.
Yes,
he can be our therapist monkey. I love it. I always, and he owes me because last year he did a bad thing, and he thought it would be funny to sign me up for the PAC, which is like the parent thing. And so I was the events coordinator because he thought it would be funny to write in my name, and nobody else wanted the job. And they like called me a week later, congratulations, you're the new events coordinator for the elementary school. Yeah, he did this last year because he thought it was funny. So he owes me. So he's going to answer everybody's questions because
yes,
he is indebted to
me. For free. This is absolutely free therapy.
Free therapy. I mean, this podcast, we have a pretty low budget in general. I'm not sure if anybody notices, but we're gonna up our game and get it together with all these fabulous topics like bullying and parenting fun.
Yes, parenting fun. Oh my gosh.
Well, it has been fun talking about. It was a heavy topic, but I think, you know, hopefully we kept it as light as it can be.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited. And next week we will be back to talk about more fun things.
Yes. What did I think we already picked a topic for next week, but I already forgot it. Did you write it down?
No, I wrote it down. Parenting styles.
Yes, parenting styles. This is actually the bullying was a great segue into parenting styles.
And people end up in therapy with my husband for differing parenting styles. So it is a big deal in a relationship when you have different parenting styles, which we will talk more about next week.
Oh, I'm very excited. I feel like you'll have a lot of insight for me.
Well, I have a lot of opinions. Just ask my husband. I am not sure
I have opinions too.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.